All right, guys. So we now have an official Republican platform for 2024, and I'm going to walk you through it. We're going to do this as fast as we can, but I'm also going to be as thorough as I could possibly be. And then hang on, because after we go policy for policy, then we're going to discuss what is missing from this, which is kind of a big omission, and it's kind of important. So, all right, we'll dive into all that. So Trump tweeted this out the other day. This was also floating around Twitter. It genuinely is the new Republican platform. Now, by the way, a lot of right-wing activists have a serious problem with this platform. Why? Because apparently, look at Stinky. Apparently, Trump exerted his power over the party, his iron grip over the party, and he was basically like, I'm going to be the one to have the final say, and I'm basically going to write some of it. And you could tell it's kind of written in all caps, Trumpian-type language. And it's also, of course, it has very few specifics, if any. It's just like very broad, like general thing, like a Cliff Note bullet point type thing. So anyway, it's classic Trump. Remember that study came out years ago that said he speaks at like, what was it, a third grade level or something like that? And politically, that actually might be an advantage because it clicks with anybody in the country. Like they can understand what he's saying, even if he's saying something that's crazy. So anyway, here's the policy platform. Number 1, seal the border and stop the migrant invasion. Okay, that's classic Trump. I would point out that, of course, Joe Biden and the Democrats are also very hardcore on the border. They're hardliners on the border. Biden has put into place a lot of the same policies that Trump had in place. So the idea that the Democrats are for open borders and Trump's for a closed border, no, they're definitely both for closed borders. And also, the Democrats had a bill ready to go, a bipartisan bill ready to go. They work with James Lankford, the Republican senator, and others. And it was a totally bipartisan bill that said, we're going to do the biggest border crackdown that we've done in decades and decades and decades. And the Republicans were against it, and Trump told them to be against it because he said, I don't want to give Biden a win, and I think this is a win. This is him stealing my thunder and doing tough on the border stuff. So let's just be clear. When they say the Democrats are for open borders, not remotely. Okay. So seal the borders and stop the migrant invasion. Carry out the largest deportation operation in American history. That's kind of a terrifying one because they admit, yeah, we'll also be deporting a lot of people who are totally innocent. Grandmas, grandpas, moms, dads, kids, people who are working, who don't commit crimes. They've admitted that. So that's terrifying. End inflation and make America affordable again. I love how you just have just saying end inflation. Oh, okay, yes, let's implement the policy of end inflation. The question is, how do you do that? What are the steps to that? What policies will lead to that? None of that, of course, in here. Make America the dominant energy producer in the world by far. Congratulations, we already are that, and it's happening under Joe Biden. By the way, something a lot of lefties don't like about Biden, but he's doing it because again, he's kind of Republican light, if that's not clear. I love this next one. Stop outsourcing and turn the United States into a manufacturing superpower. Guys, Biden, for all of his flaws, and he has many, has created 800,000 new manufacturing jobs in this country. Trump lost 200,000 manufacturing jobs in his time in office. Don't take my word for it. Go fact check me. Go read it. You will find I'm correct. So, sorry, but you lost on this front, and you're a fucking liar. You lost 200,000 manufacturing jobs. You incentivized outsourcing in your corporate tax bill. So this is just, he's lying, right? This is just a lie. He knows it's a lie. He continues, large tax cuts for workers and no tax on tips. Whenever they say tax cut for workers, what they really mean is tax cuts for the rich. Because remember, they did this the last time. 83% of the benefits of that tax cut bill in the long run went to the rich. So they say tax cuts for workers. In reality, they mean tax cuts for the wealthy. That is always how it works out. He told a gathering of multimillionaire and billionaire donors, I'm going to cut your taxes. So it's not for workers. Let's be clear. All right, more. Defend our Constitution. Oh, my God. Defend our Constitution from the guy who said we should terminate or suspend the Constitution. Bill of Rights and our fundamental freedoms, including freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and the right to keep and bear arms. Trump saying I'm going to protect freedom of speech is hilarious because this is the guy who sued CNN for hundreds of millions of dollars because he didn't like the stories they were running about him. This is the guy who said we should punish flag burning with up to a year in jail. That is the definition of protected speech, according to the Supreme Court. You might not like people burning the flag, but it's 100% free speech. This is the guy who's, I'm going to protect free speech. He sued Bill Maher over a joke. You're going to protect free speech? You're the biggest threat to free speech in this country. By the way, keep in mind the free speech thing. As we get later on in this, there's going to be another portion that directly contradicts the idea that he's going to protect free speech. All right, where was I? Prevent World War III, restore peace in Europe and in the Middle East, and build a great Iron Dome missile defense shield over our entire country, all made in America. Oh. Preventing World War III, again, this is the guy who killed Qasem Soleimani illegally. That led to retaliatory strikes from Iran against our people. This is the guy who moved the embassy to Jerusalem and Israel, did the Abraham Accords. That helped lead to October 7th, the terrorist attacks. That helped lead to the Israeli genocide. This guy gave Israel anything and everything they want. He kept us in Iraq. He kept us in Afghanistan. He increased drone strikes 432%. He put John Bolton, Gina Haspel, Mike Pompeo in his administration. He's a neocon. He's a neocon. I'm going to prevent World War III. Trump, when he was in office, did a NATO buildup on Russia's border. Axed the pipeline deal that they had. He was aggressive. He was standoffish. The only area where he wasn't was North Korea, where he decided randomly, for whatever reason, to negotiate with North Korea and talk with them. He was trying to get a nuclear deal with North Korea. At the same time, he was ripping up the Iranian nuclear agreement. Totally contradicting himself. Hey, on this front, I like a nuclear deal. On this one, I don't. You should like them for both. Anyway, okay. Prevent World War III, my ass cheeks. He also armed and funded a genocide in Yemen. Anyway, I can go on, but I'm going to cut it off there. Anyway, end the weaponization of government against the American people. In other words, I'm going to stop them from looking into me and my crimes. Stop the migrant crime epidemic. There is not a migrant crime epidemic. Natural-born U.S. citizens commit crime at a higher rate than both documented immigrants and undocumented immigrants. Demolish the foreign drug cartels. And by the way, there's another thing he's talked about previously. He wants to declare war on Mexico. Make the cartels officially a terrorist organization and go do airstrikes on them against the will of the Mexican government. Demolish the foreign drug cartels, crush gang violence, and lock up violent offenders. Rebuild our cities, including Washington, D.C., making them safe, clean, and beautiful again. Oh, you mean like you'd want to do like an infrastructure bill? Like the thing that you weren't able to do, but actually Joe Biden and the Democrats did do? Okay, all right. Strengthen and modernize our military. Yeah, because that's what we need. More military spending is what we need in this country. Making it, without question, the strongest and most powerful in the world. We're already there. We need to cut military spending by like 50%. Keep the U.S. dollar as the world's reserve currency. That's sort of like a shot at BRICS and the rise of China. Fight for and protect Social Security and Medicare with no cuts, including no changes to the retirement age. Look, I'm happy he's saying that. It's great that he's saying that because Biden and Trump are kind of leading the charge, saying no cuts to Social Security or Medicare. But you need to understand, the Republicans are all in favor of cuts to Social Security, Medicare. They are all the elected Republicans. They want cuts to Social Security, Medicare. And what I fear is, under Trump, we might get a bill where he says, oh, no, we're not cutting it. We're reforming it. And the reform is privatization. And effectively, it is cuts. All right, cancel the electric vehicle mandate and cut costly and burdensome regulations. Cancel the electric vehicle mandate and cut Of course, regulation cuts are always what they do. This is how you get dirtier water. This is how you get more pollution. This is how you get corporations making a mess of everything. This is how you get greed run amok. Undoing regulations is a horrible idea. Cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, radical gender ideology, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content on our children. So in other words, when we do my politics, it doesn't count as political. It's just right. When we do your politics, we're going to cut funding to the schools. By the way, how far would this go? We've seen in some red states, like they don't want you talking about the fucking Civil Rights Act. They don't want you talking about FDR in a positive way. You know, they want to deify Ronald Reagan. They want to put religion in our schools. This is what this is. It's a right-wing takeover of education where they do their propaganda, and anything they disagree with, they say, well, cut funding to you if you do that. All right. Keep men out of women's sports. Bold. Deport pro-Hamas radicals and make our college campuses safe and patriotic again. Let me decode that for you. We're going to crack down viciously on pro-Palestine protesters. We're going to break up pro-Palestine groups. Just like they already did. We're going to ban Jewish Voice for Peace. We're going to ban Not in Our Name. We're going to arrest people and make bullshit charges about, oh, you said something anti-Semitic and it's hate speech or whatever. Oh, what did you say? Free Palestine. Like, this flies directly in the face of his earlier point of, we're going to protect free speech. We're going to deport pro-Hamas radicals. They consider any college student who's just pro-Palestine as pro-Hamas because they're radical, they're extremists, and they're bought by Israeli billionaires. Trump is taking millions and millions of dollars from Miriam Adelson. And by the way, the reporting is Trump is getting all this money in return for, when Trump is president, he's going to let Israel annex the entire West Bank. This is a fucking 5-alarm fire. Nobody's talking about it. Finally, secure our elections, including same-day voting, voter identification, paper ballots, and proof of citizenship. By the way, this is him saying no more mail-in voting at all. No more mail-in voting at all. He wants to ban mail-in voting and unite our country by bringing it to new and record levels of success. That's not, like, you're not even saying anything there. Now, okay, so that's the platform. I think people would criticize it by saying the way it's written is weird, there's no detail, and also it's totally Trumpian and it's really short. I actually don't mind the shortness, and I don't mind the lack of detail. You could have more, specific policy papers that go into specifics on these individual things. The thing that I have an issue with is just the fucking substance. This is just psycho shit, right? And by the way, a lot of this stuff is Project 2025 stuff, even though he tried to distance himself from Project 2025. But look at what's missing, guys. Look at what's missing. GOP embraces Trump abortion language in new party platform. The 2024 Republican Party platform adopted Monday does not include language supporting a national ban on abortion. The latest sign that the Trump-led GOP is trying to soften its tune on the politically potent issue. Abortion is one of the GOP's biggest potential political vulnerabilities, and former President Trump, who has repeatedly taken credit for overturning Roe v. Wade, now says the restriction should be left to the states. Now, a bunch of evangelical Christian groups came out, and they're furious over this. They're furious over this. Mike Pence, furious over this. But in terms of political savvy, Trump gets the W here. This is smart to leave out the abortion stuff. Now, I will say, I don't think he can get the stench of being anti-abortion off of him. I don't think he can. He just can't. And the reason he can is it's because of his Supreme Court justices that Roe v. Wade was overturned. So he is the reason we get these nightmare stories coming out of red states where they're like, some 14-year-old was raped and they can't get an abortion and they got to try to go across state lines, and you have all these horror stories. Somebody about to die, but they're not allowed to get an abortion because they're not literally bleeding out on the table. Nightmares. And this is all because of Trump's Supreme Court. And so he can't, on the one hand, brag about overturning Roe v. Wade, and then on the other hand say, but I'm actually a moderate. No, your position by definition is an extreme position. Now, it's not as extreme as the Mike Pences of the world who want a national abortion ban, but it's still bad. And the fact of the matter is Trump would have it so that in half the states, they have ruthless abortion crackdowns and no rights for women. And so is this an indication? Like, if Congress passed a bill to ban abortion nationally, would Trump actually sign that or no? I actually don't know. Maybe he would, maybe he wouldn't. But he's in favor of the current status quo, which is untenable. We need Roe v. Wade back. And so he's trying to get the stench of being anti-abortion off of him. Will it work? I tend to doubt it. But he's trying. So politically, you have that perspective and the perspective. He's still trying to sound a little populist. But I don't know. After 4 years of him governing, I don't think it's going to land as much. So by and large, though, this is an absolutely wretched document, and that's why I walked you through it. All right, guys, that's the show. You know the drill. Everybody subscribe to the channel, please. It helps out massively. You could support the show on Patreon or tip on YouTube. I deeply appreciate that. Never have a conversation with any advertisers. By the way, I previously said we have Jill Stein on Crystal Kyle and Friends this week. We actually don't. We have Jeremy Scahill coming on this week. So really looking forward to that. He was able to get an exclusive interview with top Hamas officials. And we're going to dive deep on that and see, what they're saying, what they say their motivation was. He presses them on October 7th and a bunch of things. So we'll dive into that and much more. Everybody do me a big favor. Also, subscribe to Crystal Kyle and Friends below. You're not going to want to miss this. By the way, Ken Klippenstein was saying on Twitter, he just hopped us on Substack in terms of, he's got more subscribers now. And he tweeted, Kyle Kulinski has fallen with, a picture of them hopping Crystal Kyle and Friends. So I'm just saying, hook a brother up with a subscription. I don't like losing and then having it rubbed in my face like that. So hook a brother up with a subscription. We got a lot of great stuff coming. We're planning on not just Jeremy Scahill this week, talking about his interview with Hamas officials, but we should have Jill Stein coming up. We should have Chase Oliver, the libertarian candidate, trying to get Charlemagne the God. So we got a bunch of great stuff coming up. You definitely want to check it out. And you want to have me beat Ken Klippenstein. To be fair to Ken, he did say in the very next tweet, his YouTube show kind of crushes me. So yeah, we're beating his side gig, but let's calm down. I respect that, Ken. Thank you very much. Because honestly, when I first saw the tweet, I was going to reply and be like, congrats on beating the side gig. But I held my tongue. He said it himself. But for real, get me back in front of Ken. All right, guys. I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Peace. Hey, y'all. Do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.